Hey guys, this is Nathan Pennington from RunDreamAchieve here in Minneapolis, Minnesota for some military training. But today's video, I want to kind of talk over how to achieve optimal performance. And the reason why I picked this topic today is because I had a conversation last night with a gentleman who is purchased my sub 3 hour marathon pro course that I have on the website. And this is a guy that's, he's hungry, he wants it. He's currently a 3:35 marathoner, and he's wanting to break 3 hours. So we were, just kind of talking over how, he had asked me, how did you go from 243 to 219? And, some of the things I was telling him was obviously there was a great deal of patience that was involved, but there were a lot of things that I had to do in order to achieve that optimal performance. And that was to me a time where everything went right in the marathon. I had, as we discussed in the video, we kind of talked over some of the, he not only paid for he invested in the sub 3 hour marathon course, but he also paid to talk with me for an hour, and we kind of talked over a lot of different areas of his training. And then he also asked me some questions about what I did in the past to drop so much time. And as I was telling him about the different topics we talked about, progression and some of the things you have to do, two of the biggest reasons why I was able to achieve that particular optimal performance was in drastically increasing the amount of time I was spending at a higher heart rate for my long runs and running my long runs at a faster pace for a longer period of time. And no matter where you're currently at with your training, you could be a total beginner to the sport or highly advanced. You're, either focused on breaking, 1:15 for the half or 1:30 for the half or maybe under 2 hours for the half. Regardless where you're at, to achieve optimal performance, you absolutely have to have an extreme amount of patience, because optimal performance is when everything goes right. It's when you line up your training correctly, your nutrition is on point, you taper, and we did discuss that in the video. And something that I kind of advise athletes to do is try giving yourself a 10-day taper. A lot of times we see either reading in articles or maybe you've had a coach in the past that kind of suggests doing a 3 weeks out. And for a lot of athletes, 21 days out, usually 3 weeks is kind of like what we often hear, a 3-week taper. And I've tried that myself. Sometimes it's worked, but most of the time it hasn't. But what I've found has worked the best for me is always tapering my training 10 days out from my major event. And that's the exact formula that I did leading into the 2007 California International Marathon. Yes, I was a 2:43 marathoner when I initially came to the World Class Athlete program. That was kind of, we touched on that a little bit. So he was asking about that. So, and what I told him too is obviously there were some indicators that showed that I was able to run under what I wanted to do, which was break 2 hours and 22 minutes. At that time, it was a 2008 USA Olympic Trials B standard time. So, and to be in the World Class Athlete program at that time, I needed to run under 2 hours and 22 minutes to be an official member of that elite military unit. And at the time, I had run 51:52 for 10 miles, but I had only had a PR of 2 hours and 43 minutes and 36 seconds. So, granted, that's an aggressive pace. It's 6:14 mile pace. But at the World Class Athlete program, obviously you're going as a U.S. soldier, and you're getting paid your rank, but you're also going there to make an Olympic team, make a World Championship team. The stakes are high, the standards are very high, which they should be. And so at that time, a 2:43 just wasn't good enough. As fast as that is, it just wasn't good enough, and rightly so. So there were some major areas of my training, areas of my mindset, and that's something I told him about too. The psychological piece of running fast and to achieve an optimal performance, it can't be tested. It's not like, you can't get on a treadmill and, they can test us physiologically, You know, they can run, if you've ever done a VO2 max test, which I've done a couple of them, they basically run you to exhaustion on the treadmill, and they kind of every 3 minutes they pluck your finger and they test your blood lactate levels. So every 3 minutes they kind of gradually increase the pace of the pace that they're having you run on the treadmill, and then not only that, they increase the pace, but they also increase the incline as well. So they basically just run you to the point where you can't run anymore, and then they prick your finger again and they test your blood lactate levels. So some of the things we were talking about in achieving optimal performance is you have to stress the body's energy systems. It's not enough just to go out and run easy. There are purposes for that. Running easy is very, very important. It's very important to also still run easy long runs, which is another thing we talked about in our conversation. He had asked, kind of what is the optimal distance that you need to run for a long run, and should I run hard every single weekend? And what I told him too is the way I planned it, and I know every athlete's different, but I just want to share this with you to kind of give you an idea of what I had to do to break 2 hours and 20 minutes was I would alternate one week, one long run, one weekend and it was very aggressive. It was run at 160 heart rate, which is kind of the guideline of where we really focused on holding the heart rate for our long runs. And at my fittest, I was averaging around 518 to 550 per mile pace at altitude at a heart rate of 160. 160 is about 88% max heart rate, and it's going to be different as you age a little bit, obviously. But again, the psychological piece of training is something that no exercise physiologist can test. So as I told him, I want you visualizing what you want, whether it's a 5K PR, a marathon PR, yourself losing weight. I want you visualizing yourself doing that, seeing that goal in your mindset, seeing it in your head first, because that is an enormous component of achieving an optimal performance. Optimal performance, we hear obviously as well, that that flow state. It's that time when you're just, everything is just totally easy, and it feels like you're just on another easy long run, but you're running at race pace and you're running far faster than you ever run in your life. And there's a lot of things that go into it, but two of the biggest reasons why I was able to do it and sharing with you today is just kind of start really practicing how you're hydrating in training. If you're running the longer races, obviously a 5K and a 10K are kind of over quick, but if you're not drinking in those races, and what he told me in his race, he said he ran his debut marathon in 3:35. I mean, this guy, he's been running for 2 years. He's run a 1:38 half, and he did it during a 22-mile run that he averaged 7:34 mile pace on. As I told him, a 1:38 half marathon, that's equivalent to a 3:23. So this guy's committed. He's all in. I know he'll eventually get under 3 hours. I definitely think he can break 3 hours. But regardless what you're doing currently, if it's a dramatic drop in time, you have to. The name of the game when it comes to running fast for long periods of time and achieving an optimal performance is practicing often at race pace or far below race pace. Practice doing hill sprints. I mean, where you're going all out. I mean, your heart rate's up like 175 and beats per minute up, and you're really focusing on recruiting more fast twitch muscle fibers, as we talked about in the video together. That really helps your body to not have to rely, so your heart works more economically. You're not having to push yourself as hard, and those types of physiological adaptations, those occur when you're going, high heart rates for long periods of times, or short sprints where you're that last anywhere from like 30 seconds to 2 minutes. I mean, just really hard sprints. Those are the type of workouts you really got to work on, and those were two of the biggest significant changes that I had to make for myself. I had run a 1:07:06 half marathon at the Philadelphia Half Marathon a few months prior to running 2:19:35 for the marathon. So obviously those types of performances showed me that I was prepared. I was ready to do it. But if you're a marathon runner, especially as we talked about in the video, the marathon it's another animal. There's a lot of components that go into it, and it's a thinking man or a thinking woman's race. You've got to be psychologically focused and to keep yourself calm in the race. That's very, very important to achieve optimal performance. If you're focusing more on 5K or 10K, you already know it's a higher anaerobic race, so you're really having to rely more on working, getting on the track, working, repeat 200s, repeat miles, repeat 600s, repeat Ks, doing those reps that are and training. Those reps are going to be shorter, so they're going to be spent at far faster paces than race pace, as well as running easy. You don't want to nobody can run hard every single day. And I told Brent in the video last night, it's the same with the long run. You can't run hard every single weekend and expect to get a return on your investment. It's just not going to work that way. So you have to be you have to be precision-like in your training. Optimal performance comes over time. It's not a overnight success type situation. I already know, most of you already know this, but it's very easy to get to second guess yourself when you think, man, my results aren't coming quick enough. Am I too old? Am I just not talented enough? No, it's oftentimes, almost 99% of the time, it's just the result you're looking for may come a year from now, it may come 5 years from now, it may come a decade from now. It's a matter of how badly you want it. Do not lose enthusiasm. Do not lose the joy for your training in the midst of, the ebbs and flows of training. I mean, this is one of the key reasons why I was able to improve from being a 5:30. The first time I ran the mile in high school, I ran 5:30, got it down to 5:09 my freshman year. Then my sophomore year, I got it to 4:38. Junior year, got it to 4:32. And then my senior year, I ran 4:25, and then ended up running 9:46 for 2 miles in high school. And then just continued on. You got to find that love for what you're doing. You got to find, and your why has got to be strong. You've got to have a strong why. What is it that you're wanting? What is it that you're wanting to do? Everybody's got a goal. Everybody's got difficult goals, and everybody's got some kind of goal that's like so out there, so kind of like I see it in my mind, but to do it in reality is going to be something totally different. So that's what an optimal performance is. It's when all of your training comes together and you're in a flow state, and it's just smooth. It's like it's still painful, but you're able to sustain the pace. You're able to compete. You're able to make the moves when somebody else makes a move in the race. You're able to react. And all of this stems from the training. I always tell athletes all the time, training should be the most difficult part. The race itself should be the easy part. Always test yourself. Do the most you can in training first and foremost. Make the mistakes in training. And then you go into your race feeling confident. I can tell you, when I was on the line in Sacramento, I was standing with Emily Potter, who was also a member of the World Class Athlete Program. I think at the time she had run about 2:55 for the marathon, and she had a huge PR. She ran personal record. She ran 2:45 that day and qualified for the Olympic trials, the 2008 Olympic trials. And we're sitting there cracking jokes on the line. The work had been done. So always remind yourself, do the training, do the hard training, and be confident in what you're doing. That way you can get to the race. Let everybody else be uptight. Let everybody else be, nervous. It's okay to be a little bit nervous as well, but you're always in control of your thoughts, and you're always in control of your attitude. Always remember that. So, in regards to an optimal performance, all I can tell you is persistency, consistency, believing in yourself, and finding that why. What is it that you're wanting to do? And be fully committed to it. And don't start to doubt yourself and second guess yourself when you don't see the results as quickly as you want them. Because if you're persistent enough, you're going to get the result. If it's a time goal where you want to drop a specific amount of time, then you have to practice that that long-term goal, you have to see that pace. You got to see it in your mind's eye as well. You got to visualize yourself succeeding. And as I told Brent in the video, I said, man, spend 10 to 20 minutes each day just laying down, visualizing yourself crossing the line with a 2-hour, 59-minute, 59-second time on the clock. I still remember coming around the corner, and I had visualized thousands of times from 2002 to 2007, seeing myself going under 2 hours and 22 minutes. And when I came around the corner in Sacramento, I was the top American. And when I turned the corner to finish at the Sacramento Capitol, I saw 2:19:12 on the clock, and I went 2:19:13, 2:19:12, 14, and I was just, the last 100 meters of that race, it was agonizing. If any time I hurt as badly as I've ever hurt in my life, it was the last 100 meters of that race. But it was that visualizing, seeing myself do that so many times, as well as the hard training, and being disciplined on the days where I had to run easy, and I had to slow down, and I had to recover from the hard training. That's when it all paid off. So be patient with yourself, be consistent, believe in what you're doing, and know that every successful athlete does, and no matter where they're currently at, every successful athlete, every successful person, period, has always had trials, and it's how they handled those trials, those ebbs and flows that come in training and in life, that really made the difference. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. Definitely leave a comment below. I'm extremely excited about helping other athletes, and I want to continue to help athletes, regardless if you're totally a beginner or if you're an advanced level athlete. I want to get you to the next level. So look forward to hearing your comments, and I hope this video was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you next time.